What's up, my friends? Welcome to the Live Wide Open podcast. I'm your host, Randy B. Ramirez, also known as Wide Open Randy, and I'm here to serve anyone that's looking to level up from their current situation. This show right here is dedicated to help raising the bar for all the motorsport enthusiasts out there, those who want more out of life, those who want to do more, those who want to be more, those who love the thrill, the joy, and the connection of what these high performance engines bring into our lives. Because holding it wide open is what we do. Being a great freaking person is who we are, and living our lives to the fullest is the lifestyle that we choose. On today's episode, we're going to be talking about excuses, what they are, what they cost us, and how we can overcome the excuses that we make so that we can level up our lives. Before we even get into excuses, we need to be able to understand what excuses are. And so excuses are really just justifications that we use to avoid taking responsibility for an action or any type of situation that comes across your way. Excuses are often based out of fear, they're often based out of discomfort, and they're really just often something we make to protect our ego from us failing or from just being criticized. See, excuses avoid us from taking action. It really just what it boils down to. I've learned that anytime we want to make an uncomfortable action, we seem to be professional excuse makers. And so this is why it's important to be able to overcome the excuses that we make. And so there's different forms of excuses. We make excuses for all type of reasons. Sometimes we make excuses, blaming our external circumstances. Sometimes we make excuses to minimize the importance of these goals that we create. And sometimes we really just make excuses to deflect the responsibility from us onto others. And it's important that we understand that our ability to overcome our tendencies to make excuses is really what's going to help us level up. It's really what's going to help us grow. It's really what's going to help us go into the next level in our journey of life and becoming the best version of ourselves. And so we all make excuses for several reasons. And what I've learned, it's either due to a fear of failure, it's either due to a fear of success, it's either due to a lack of confidence. Maybe you're just trying to avoid something and you don't want to be discomfort. Or many times you're just trying to protect your ego. And so fear of failure. We make excuses because we're just simply afraid to fail. We fear that we're not going to be able to succeed or meet expectations, so we just start making these excuses. And we make them as a defense mechanism to avoid facing the potential disappointment or embarrassment that we could create for ourselves when we take action. And so the fear of failure is real. There's also the fear of success. And surprisingly, the fear of success can be just as paralyzing as the fear of failure. And I know that one sounds like, what? How can the fear of success be just as paralyzing as the fear of failure? Well, it's really true. Sometimes we want to achieve these big things and we're like, man, what happens if I really do achieve that? Like, man, will I lose all my friends? What will people think of me? And so sometimes the fear of success can really hold us back, because when you succeed, it brings new challenges, it brings responsibilities, it brings new expectations, and all that shit can be very scary for us. And so excuses, they allow us to stay within our comfort zones. And when we stay in our comfort zones, we avoid the unknown. And more times than none, the unknown, that taking the uncomfortable action, that getting out of that freaking comfort zone is really what helps us progress. It's really what helps us move forward. It's really what helps us level up in life. And so we can also make excuses because we just simply lack the confidence to move forward. And I've learned that whenever you take on new challenges, whenever you take on new responsibilities, whenever you take on a big project, something new, something that you haven't done before, you're going to have a lack of confidence. And many of us, we let this lack of confidence hold us back. And we start making all these freaking excuses of why we can't move forward when we don't even realize that we're doing something new. So of course we're not going to be confident. Of course we're going to doubt our abilities. Of course we're going to think to ourselves and we're going to question our self-worth. But we got to be able to use our excuses as a way to justify why we cannot achieve our goals. Like, we got to be able to use the excuses that we make to realize and to take a step out and look at ourselves. Like, there's this phrase that goes, "Oh, you can't read the label from inside the jar." Well, just like that, you got to be able to look at yourself and look at the situation and the scenario they're going through and be like, man, okay, I might not have the confidence I need right now to succeed or to take the first step of action. But just because I don't have that confidence doesn't mean that I should make the excuses to not move forward. It doesn't mean that I should question my worthiness of whether I can succeed or not. Anything new, anything challenging, anything that you're going to take on, a big task in your life, is going to challenge your confidence, especially at the beginning, because you're new at it. And so if you understand that you're going to lack confidence, then when you start making these excuses, you're going to realize that, like, nah. Let's eliminate these excuses and let's start moving forward. And so we also make excuses to avoid the discomfort. And so similarly, I was talking about the lack of confidence. Well, when we lack that confidence, because we're trying something new, we start making excuses because we want to avoid looking like an idiot. We want to avoid the discomfort that it brings from doing something that we've never done before. We want to avoid just our fear of failure. And so excuses often arise from the desire to avoid the discomfort or avoid feeling inconvenient to, like, what the situation is really arising. And we may convince ourselves that the effort required to change or to pursue the goal that we're after is too overwhelming. So we end up just making excuses to justify why taking no action is okay. And that is not okay, my friends. I've also learned that we make excuses because we're just trying to protect our ego. And as a man, as an individual, as all you guys that are listening, I can share that, man, your ability to overcome your ego is going to be one of the biggest achievements that you can create within your life. Because, man, I'll say it, like, my ego has held me back from accepting opportunities, from accepting help. My ego has held me back from fucking taking new challenges. My ego has held me back from becoming the best version that I can be. And it wasn't until I realized that I was the one limiting my self-growth that I started realizing all these fucking excuses that I was making are bullshit. Like, we're just making these excuses to protect our ego and to protect our self-image. But the reality is that if you understand that you're doing something new, that you're going to lack the confidence, that you're going to try to avoid it, that you're going to have some fear of failure, you're going to have some fear of probably succeeding, then we can understand that when we stop trying to protect our ego, we can really grow and become the best we can be. And so when we protect our ego, we shield ourselves from criticism, and we also shield ourselves from the judgment of others in order to preserve our sense of self-worth. And if you're able to put your ego aside, if you're able to understand that, man, I might mess up, I might not lack the confidence I need to really do this well, but if we understand that we're doing something new, and all these are going to be just excuses that we make, we're really going to be able to limit the excuses, and we're going to be able to challenge ourselves when we come up with these excuses. Because I always joke around that, like, we're all become professional excuse makers when we're trying to avoid something, when we're trying to avoid growth, when we're trying to avoid the discomfort, when we're trying to protect our ego. Like, we all become professional excuse makers, and it's our job to question that. It really is. Because overall, like, the excuses that we make for ourselves are really just our minds trying to rationalize the behavior that is coming up. We're really just trying to avoid confronting the underlying reason that we have within ourselves of why we don't want to take action, why we're so reluctant to change it, why we're so reluctant to improve it, when deep down we know that doing these things are really going to help us. It's really going to help us improve. It's just like every time I sit down and I plan on a podcast episode, like I'm researching something that has really helped me grow. I'm researching something that has been challenging for me. I'm researching something that really has stopped me from moving forward so that I can use it to help others improve. And right away, when I start researching and trying to outline a new episode, my inner self-belief is like, oh, do you really have the ability to do this? Do you really have the ability to make this happen? Like, and just because I'm doing something new doesn't mean that I'm not going to do it. And so we got to be able to challenge our abilities and understand that the excuses we make are just fucking reasons for us not to move forward, are just reasons for us not to lean in to the discomfort of growth. And when you realize that, man, the limitations that we set on ourselves, we're able to break free from them, and we can achieve so much more than we think we can, because we really can. And when we're able to understand why we make these excuses in the first place, we can overcome them and we can start taking control of our lives. Excuse me, the cost of excuses. Let's talk about a little bit about that. Because overcoming excuses really requires a combination of self-awareness, it requires a mindset shift, and it really requires for you to be able to set actionable strategies in place so that you can eliminate your excuses and you can fucking take action despite of our internal beliefs and all the reasons why we start coming up with why we shouldn't take that action. And so I wanted to give you some practical techniques that you can use so that it can help you overcome excuses and you can really just start taking control of your life. And so first and foremost, you want to be able to identify your excuses. You want to be able to start by recognizing the excuses that you commonly use. Like, and I usually write in my journal every day. When I usually have a notes in my phone. I was pointing at my phone because that's what's recording right now. I usually have a notes folder in my phone for anything. People make fun of me because I have list for list, but it's really because I jot down a lot of my thoughts, and so that I can reflect back and I could use them to see what excuses am I making, what's holding me back, what's not helping me grow, what's keeping me in my comfort zone. And having the awareness is really the first step towards making that change. So it all starts by being able to identify your excuses. And so once you identify your excuses, you want to be able to challenge your beliefs. You want to be able to question the validity of that excuses you're making. Like, is that really a valid excuse? Or are you just fucking making that up because you're scared, because you've never done it before, because you're afraid of what others are going to think? Like, nah, fuck that. You want to put all this shit aside and take the action. You want to be able to ask yourself, are these excuses that I'm making, are these all based on facts, or they're based on are just an assumption? Like, you want to be able to challenge your negative beliefs and the self-limiting thoughts that we put on ourselves up here that really fuel the excuses that we make. All those limiting beliefs, all those negative self-talk, all that shit just feeds and fuels the professional excuse maker within you. So you want to be able to challenge those beliefs. And once you challenge those beliefs, you want to be able to set clear goals for yourself. You want to be able to define specific, measurable goals that align with your values, with your aspirations, with what you want out of life. It really boils down to just setting clear goals. Because if you can set a clear path for where you want to go, a lot of the times you're able to eliminate the emotions and just get to work. Look at the plan. What is the next step? Pull your emotions out, forget the excuses, and get to work. Because clear goals really provide direction. And not only do they provide direction for you, when you start making progress, you really start creating internal motivation. You create internal inspiration and drive so that really you can work harder. And it justifies, when you start making this progress, it really justifies that all those excuses you've been making are really just bullshit ass excuses. And you want to eliminate that shit. And so once you set clear goals for yourself, you want to be able to break those goals down. Break those goals down into smaller goals. I always say, and I've heard this somewhere, and I don't remember who I heard it from, but I always say, your long-term goals pave the road to your short-term goals. Excuse me, I have that backwards. Your short-term goals pave the road to your long-term goals. So what that means is that once, and I like to work backwards with this, you create these long-term goals that you want to set, and then after you set these long-term goals, you want to break those down into actionable steps. What can I do this month that's going to get me to the goal of this year that I have? And I guess taking that a little back, if you have a goal that you're trying to hit this year, you break that up into quarters, and then you break those quarters up into months, and you break those months into weeks, and then you break those weeks down into days. And so what actionable steps can you take today that's going to help you attack that long-term goal? It really is all about taking consistent action rather than just getting overwhelmed by the big picture. And when you're able to break those goals down into smaller goals, you eliminate the excuses. You eliminate the, oh my God, I don't know what to do next. This goal seems so far out there. Oh, you eliminate that shit. And you really just be able to put your head down and get to work. Because each step that you take, each step that you create for yourself, I paused there because I had a random thought that progress equals happiness. It really is true. When you notice that you start making progress towards a goal, towards anything that you want to achieve in life, whatever the topic is, you're going to realize that once you start making progress, you start becoming happier because you're like, holy shit, I'm getting things done. And so each step forward that we're able to create for ourselves, that builds momentum, and that also builds internal confidence for ourselves. And something else that you could do is that you can create an accountability system for yourself. Once you create these goals, once you create these actionable steps, you can share that with a friend. You can share it with a mentor. You can share it with a coach. The reason for sharing this with a friend, mentor, or coach, and preferably when you're able to share it with someone that you're paying for help you advance, which has more skin in the game rather than just a friend who just kind of wants to see you, evolve, wants to see you move forward, but really they have no skin in the game for you, and they're just going to check up on you when they remember. When you be able to pay someone like a mentor or coach to help you evolve and to help you keep accountable, it really creates this sense of accountability like no other. Like, because you have to either call in, you have to check in, you have to Zoom call, maybe you meet in person, and you have to tell them, hey, this is what I had told you last week that I was going to do, and so did you do it this week or not? And having that accountability partner really creates a lot of success for yourself if you really want to make progress in whatever subject that we're talking about. And so having someone help, someone that you can report to, someone that is going to stay committed with you, someone that's going to be on your lane, helping you stay the course. It's really what's going to help you stay committed. It's going to help you stay accountable, and what's going to help you create the progress that is going to create the happiness for you within your life. Something that you can also do is that you can start visualizing your success. Like, you want to be able to use visualization techniques to imagine yourself overcoming whatever obstacles are in front of you, and not only overcoming those obstacles, but also achieving the goals that you want. And when you visualize that success that you're after, you want to be able to bring your emotions to it. Like, how does it feel? Like, what does it smell like? For example, back when we took our honeymoon, that was like our dream vacation so far. We went to the Maldives, completely across the other side of the world. And so when we were really aiming to achieve this goal, man, I remember seeing so many YouTube videos of how the resort looked, how our room looked, how the flights, like how was the transition. Like, I could literally close my eyes before we had even got there and envision how the room would look, how the outdoors look, how it sounded. Couldn't how it smelled because obviously I wasn't there. But sometimes I would hold a cup of coffee and go outside in the morning and close my eyes and pretend like I was sitting on the dock staring out on the ocean. And that cup of coffee brought some senses into my smell. So we want to be able to visualize your successes so that you can boost your confidence and you can stay motivated. And ultimately what that does is it makes it easier for you to overcome the excuses, because the excuses will always be there. Like, We're all professional excuse makers. But when you're able to realize that the excuses are just fucking a front that we all put so that we don't take that action, you're really able to overcome it and you're able to create massive success for yourself. You also want to be able to practice self-compassion. You want to be kind to yourself. You want to limit the negative self-talk that you have, because we're going to have setbacks. We're going to have challenges. We're going to have things that piss us off. But our ability to practice self-compassion and really just be okay with ourselves, as long as we're taking that action, is really what's going to help us overcome those challenges. Instead of criticizing yourself for making the excuses, you want to be able to practice, okay, maybe I did make an excuse here, but I took 3 steps. And you want to be able to treat yourself and understand that we're all human. Like, we're going to fall sometimes. You want to be able to forgive yourself when you have a challenge, when you have a setback, when you get stressed out. Be compassionate with yourself. It's not all about, oh, you fucking failed today, you're a piece of crap. No, man, that's the last thing you want to say to yourself, because all those words that you start saying to yourself, you're literally programming your subconscious. And so you want to limit that shit. You want to be compassionate about yourself. As long as you're making fucking progress, as long as you're making action, as long as you're making moves towards what you want to do in your life, give yourself a little self-compassion. And you also want to be able to change your environment. This one is so key, man. You want to be able to surround yourself with the people. You want to be able to surround yourself with the resources. You want to be able to surround yourself with just an overall environment that supports your vision, your goals, what you have in mind for yourself, for your family, for your friends, for how you want to live your life, for your career, for your hobbies, for just everything. You want to, like, the environment is so key. Like, growing up, my mom used to say, and I'm going to say it in Spanish, but dime con quién andas y te diré quién eres. And what that means is, tell me who you're rolling with, and I'll tell you who you are. And so you hang around with 5 losers, I guarantee you're going to be the 6th loser. You hang around with 5 very inspired and motivated people, I guarantee you that you're going to be the 6th very inspired and motivated people. You hang around with 5 very overweight, non-healthy, they don't exercise type of people, you're going to start gaining weight. I've been through there. That's how some of the times I've gained the most by hanging around with people that are not into fitness. And so now I hang around with people who are into fitness, people that eat healthy, people that have this ability to see themselves as a future version of themselves and understand that just because we're not there doesn't mean we're not going to work at it. Having that environment around you is really like a game changer, man. And you also want to be able to develop a growth mindset. I talked about this on a previous episode, having a fixed versus growth mindset. And it's all about having a growth mindset. You want to be able to embrace challenges. You want to be able to embrace failures. You want to be able to embrace the setbacks that you have and see those as opportunities for growth and learning, not just of things that are being sent to you because you're meant to fail. Like, if you can adopt the mindset that views obstacles as temporary setbacks and something that is manageable rather than something that's like an impossible barrier, man, you're going to start creating massive growth for yourself, because it's always going to have something. You're always going to have a speed bump. You're always going to have a setback. You're always going to have some type of failure. And if you're able to really transition your thoughts from seeing that as setbacks to opportunities for growth, what can I learn from this situation? It really changes it for you. It's a game changer. And so, despite feeling the fear, because you are going to feel fear when you're taking on something new, something meaningful, a big goal, you're going to feel the fear. It ain't no doubt about it. And I truly believe, and the more successful people I talk to, the more they validate this for me, that we never really stop feeling the fear. We just start learning ways to take action despite the fear. Feel the fear, embrace the fear, and fucking do it anyway. You're going to be able to accept that fear and know that it's just a natural part of growth and change. Instead of waiting for the fear to go away, just fuck it. Take the action despite of feeling afraid. Because when you take action, what that does is diminishes the fear. And the more action you take, the more your internal confidence builds up and the more it grows. And then the more progress you're going to make. And the more you're going to be able to overcome the excuses that we all make. And then also, you want to be able to celebrate your progress. Like, once you make some progress for yourself, this is something that I did very little, and now I'm trying to really implement this a lot, is that Small progress, big progress, small achievements, big achievements, no matter what it is, you want to be able to just pat yourself on the back. Give yourself like, hey man, you did a fucking good job. Like be your internal coach. Talk good to yourself. Celebrate for making some fucking progress. At the end of the day, look for all the wins that you had and reinforce up here positive behaviors, because positive behaviors is what motivates you to continue overcoming the excuses. We will never stop making excuses. Just like the fear, you're never going to stop feeling the fear. It all boils down to being able to overcome the fear. So being able to overcome the excuses that we make so that we create the progress that we want for ourselves in our lives. And remember this, overcoming excuses is just a journey. It's all about a journey that requires patience. Overcoming excuses is all about a journey that requires persistence. And it's all about a journey that requires self-reflection. And by consistently implementing these strategies that I shared with you today, you can break free from the excuses that we all make, and you can start creating the life that you desire. And I'm encouraging you right now, as you're listening to me, maybe as you're watching me, I'm encouraging you, and put me on pause to reflect on the excuses that you've been making in your life. Like, think about that shit. Like, what excuses have I lately been making that have been holding me back from creating the life that I want? And I want you to commit to making the positive changes. Like, put me on pause right now and start reflecting on it. If you don't have a journal, if you don't have a piece of paper, pull up your notepad on your phone and start saying, man, what do I really want in life? And what excuses I have been making? And how can I overcome these fucking excuses? Because I guarantee you that they're all just things that we put in front as barriers, as limitations, because we're just fucking afraid. Which is why I like this quote from Winston Churchill so much. And it goes, success is not final, failure is not fatal, and it is the courage to continue that counts. I love that, because successes and failures are just moments in our journey. And what truly matters is our ability to keep moving forward despite the challenges that we're going to face. You want to be able to embrace the setbacks as opportunities to learn and grow. Let your courage, let your courage and let your determination guide you towards achieving all the goals that you want in your life. Remember, short-term goals pave the road to your long-term goals. So stay determined, stay courageous, and fucking go after it. It's not the outcome that defines us, but our willingness to keep pushing forward, no matter what, that really creates the progress that we want in life. I'm driving the checkered flag deep into the ground, and I'm calling out all the motorsport enthusiasts who want to improve their situation. Let's break free from all the shit that's been holding us back and prove to the freaking world that they wish they were like us. Those of you who made it to the end, I just want to say that you got yourself a win. And I appreciate you. I truly, truly, truly appreciate you for investing your valuable time into the Live Wide Open podcast. This movement is called Live Your Life Wide Open, and helping others improve is the mission that God has tasked me with. We are driven individuals working on breaking the fucking stereotype and becoming the best that we can be. Join me on this journey while we help as many motorsport enthusiasts as possible to create the best lives that we can imagine. You can join me on Instagram, follow me on Instagram. My handle is Wide Open Randy. And if you felt any connection to today's message, I ask that you please share this on your story, because those are the type of actions that really help us spread the message. I'll catch you guys on the next episode. Till then, live life wide open, my friends. Peace.